Yesterday I dropped a video that blew up. The leaked Kremlin memo, the $12 trillion deal. Russia crawling back to the dollar. A lot of you watched it. A lot of you shared it. And then something happened that I didn't expect. My comments section turned into a war zone. Half of you said I nailed it. The other half said I'm a paid shill spreading Bloomberg propaganda. Some of you sent me links saying Russia's central bank just denied the whole thing, that the memo is fake, that Bloomberg spoofed the gold and silver markets on purpose. So I went back. I pulled every source. I went through every statement. I checked what Russia actually said, word for word. And what I found is more interesting than either side wants to admit. Because not only did Russia not deny the memo, but the timing of when Bloomberg dropped this story might be the biggest red flag of all. Welcome to the hidden economy. Like and subscribe. Let's get into it. Here's what happened since that video dropped. And I need you to pay close attention because the people screaming fake news and the people screaming it's confirmed are both getting it wrong. On February 12th, Bloomberg published their story. They said they reviewed an internal Kremlin memo outlining 7 areas of economic cooperation between Russia and the U.S., including a return to dollar settlements. Silver dropped over 10% in an hour. Gold tanked. The precious metals community lost its mind. Then, on February 13th, 3 things happened. And this is where it gets messy. First, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov held a press briefing. Now here's what the fake news crowd isn't telling you. Peskov didn't deny the memo. He didn't say Bloomberg lied. He didn't call it propaganda. Here's what he actually said. He said, of course we are offering cooperation. Of course companies from both countries are interested. He literally confirmed that Russia is open to economic cooperation with America. He said nobody abandoned the dollar. It was America that restricted countries from using it. And then he said if the dollar is attractive, everyone will return to using it alongside other currencies. Listen to that again. The Kremlin spokesperson confirmed cooperation talks exist. He confirmed Russia's is open to dollar settlements. He just reframed it. Instead of saying, we're begging to come back, he said, we never left. You kicked us out. And if you open the door, we'll walk through it. Classic diplomacy. Say the same thing, but make it sound like it was your idea. Second, and this is the one everyone is sharing as proof the story is fake. Russia's central bank chief Elvira Nabiullina held a press conference. She said the central bank is not currently participating in talks on returning to dollar payments for exports. That's it? That's the full quote. She said the central bank isn't involved so far. Now here's what people are missing. Nabiullina didn't say the memo is fake. She didn't say Russia isn't considering it. She said her institution, the central bank, isn't part of the talks yet, and that makes complete sense. This deal is being handled by Kirill Dmitriev through Russia's sovereign wealth fund and political channels with Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff. The central bank doesn't get involved until there's actually something to implement. Sanctions haven't been lifted. There's nothing for the central bank to do right now. Saying the central bank isn't participating is like saying the construction crew isn't on site yet. The building hasn't been approved. That doesn't mean the blueprints don't exist. Now that's 2 statements down, but the third one is the one that really ties it all together. Third, Peskov also told TASS that settling with the United States in dollars would not contradict Russia's push toward national currencies. He's literally laying the groundwork for both options at the same time. Dollars with America, national currencies with everyone else, hedging every bet. So let me be crystal clear about where we stand. The Bloomberg memo has not been denied by any Russian official. Peskov confirmed cooperation. Nabiullina said the central bank isn't involved yet. And Peskov said dollar settlements are possible. Nobody called Bloomberg liars. Nobody said the document is fake. But remember what I said at the start of this video? The timing of this whole thing might be the biggest red flag of all. And I'm about to show you why. Now let's talk about the part that actually matters to you. And honestly, this is the part that's going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. Did Bloomberg crash silver on purpose? Here's what I know. Bloomberg published the story on February 12th. That same week, China was dark for Chinese New Year. The Shanghai market was closed. The world's single biggest physical silver buyer was completely offline. Paper prices are easiest to manipulate when physical buyers aren't in the market to provide a floor. The timing is suspicious. I'm not going to pretend it isn't. JP Morgan paid $920 million in fines for spoofing precious metals markets. Not alleged, not accused. They admitted it. They paid. Banks have been caught manipulating silver prices over and over again. So when someone says Bloomberg timed the story to crash metals while China was on holiday, I can't just laugh that off. The same institutions that got caught rigging prices before are still in the market today. But here's my honest take. I don't think Bloomberg fabricated the memo. Bloomberg is a $100 billion financial data company. Jonathan Tyrone, the journalist who wrote it, covers geopolitics for a living. They don't need to make up stories for clicks. The memo is real. Multiple Russian officials responded to it without denying its existence. Western officials confirmed to Bloomberg they've seen the document. What I think happened is simpler and honestly scarier. Bloomberg published a real story at a time when the market was thin and vulnerable. Shanghai closed, thin liquidity, no physical floor under the price, perfect conditions for paper to move prices down fast. Whether that timing was intentional or coincidental, I genuinely don't know, but the result was the same. Thin market, big headline, massive price drop. And while retail investors were panicking and selling, somebody on the other side was buying everything they were dumping. This is the game. This is how it works. Every single time. A headline drops, retail panics, prices crash, and institutional money loads up at the bottom. Then, 3 weeks later, prices recover, and everyone wonders what happened. This isn't conspiracy. This is the documented, find, proven playbook of how banks operate in precious metals. And if you don't understand this game, you will always be the one selling at the bottom. The question you should be asking isn't whether the memo is real. The question is, who was buying silver at those lows while you were panicking? Because somebody was, and it wasn't your local coin shop dealer. Now here's where I owe you some honesty. In my last video, I presented the Bloomberg memo as confirmed news. And at the time, based on what was available, that was accurate. Bloomberg reviewed the document. Multiple outlets picked it up. Peskov's response on February 13th actually strengthened the story, not weakened it. But Nabiullina's statement adds an important layer. The central bank isn't involved. That tells us this deal is still in the early political stages. It hasn't reached the implementation phase. It's a proposal floating between diplomats, not a policy being executed by bankers. Does that change my view on silver? No. And I know some of you want me to say yes. I know some of you want me to come on here and say, I was wrong, silver's done, sell everything. But I can't say that because the numbers don't support it. Silver dropped from 121 to 64 in January. That was before the Bloomberg memo even existed. The biggest crash happened because of the Kevin Warsh Fed nomination, leveraged traders getting margin called, and speculative positions unwinding. The Bloomberg story added another 10% drop on top of an already beaten down market. But the fundamentals that made silver go from 24 to 121 haven't changed. The supply deficit is still there. The world consumes almost 200 million more ounces than it produces every single year. That's 4 consecutive years of deficit. Mines aren't opening fast enough. Mexico cut production 5% after changing mining regulations. Peru is dealing with political instability that's slowing output. And here's the kicker. Russia's own mining sector is crippled by the same sanctions, pushing them back to the dollar. Less Russian silver hitting the market means the deficit gets worse, not better. Solar demand is still exploding. The International Energy Agency keeps revising installation forecasts upward. Every solar panel needs about 20 grams of silver. Every electric vehicle uses 25 to 50 grams. 5G infrastructure, military applications, medical equipment, all of it needs silver. This demand curve is going up regardless of what happens between Moscow and Washington. Central banks are still buying gold at record pace. China didn't stop. India didn't stop. And here's the thing nobody's talking about. Russia itself is still adding silver to its strategic reserves, even while floating this dollar proposal. $535 million worth in a multi-year plan. They're hedging. They want dollars for trade. They want metal for insurance. When a government says one thing with its mouth and does another with its money, follow the money. Every time. The people who bought at 64 are already up. Silver bounced back to the low 80s within days. Today it's trading around $77 to $78. The people who panic, sold at the bottom, are watching the price recover without them. Markets work on fear and greed. Headlines create fear. Fear creates selling. Selling creates opportunity. And the people who understand that cycle are the ones who build real wealth over time. Now let me address something directly. Some of you called me a shill, said I'm spreading propaganda, said someone's paying me to push this narrative. I'm not married to any narrative. I'm not here to pump silver blindly, and I'm not here to spread fear. When new information comes out, I update my position. That's what this video is. Nabiullina's statement matters. It tells us the deal is further from reality than the original headline suggested. But Peskov's confirmation also matters. The door is open. The conversation is happening. If you want a creator who tells you only what you want to hear, there are plenty of those. If you want someone who gives you the full picture, even when it's complicated, even when it doesn't fit a clean narrative, that's what this channel is. Short term, expect more volatility. The Geneva talks on February 17th and 18th could change everything. Russia, Ukraine, and America sitting at the same table. Whatever comes out of that room will move gold and silver hard. I'll be covering it the moment it breaks. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that one. Long term, I'm still bullish on silver. Not because of any single headline, because the math hasn't changed. Supply is short, demand is growing, and no memo, no headline, and no bank can print silver out of thin air. And I'll leave you with this thought. Every major bull market in history has had moments where the narrative looked broken, where the news said it's over, where people panic sold and swore they'd never come back. Gold in 2011, Bitcoin in 2018, silver in 2020. Every single time, the people who held through the fear came out ahead. And every single time, the people who sold the bottom spent years regretting it. This might be one of those moments, or it might not. I don't have a crystal ball. But I do have the data. And the data says the world needs more silver than it can produce. Governments are hoarding metal while talking about dollars. And the same banks that manipulated silver for decades are still in the game. Draw your own conclusions. That's my honest take. That's the truth. Drop a comment and tell me what you think. Are you buying this dip or sitting it out? I'll pin the best ones. This is the hidden economy. I'll see you in the next one.